2 inches secret arts? Xiao Yan was stunned. He heard from Jade Fairy that the Yin and Yang scroll was a famous saint-level cultivation technique that had been passed down for a long time. Even though it was divided into 2 parts, the secret arts on the scroll and the Yin scroll would make countless people jealous. He did not expect Jade Fairy to have mastered a few of the secret arts in the Yin scroll. That great Yin spirit arts is only the 6th-ranked secret arts in the Yin scroll. The strongest secret arts I know is the great Yin burial technique, which is ranked 3rd. Jade Fairy had a smile on her pretty face. She looked at Xiao Yan and said in a soft voice, "If you want to learn it, I can consider it on the account of you getting the white jade spirit lotus back for me." As she spoke, Jade Fairy let out a light laugh and walked towards Medicine Pavilion, surrounded by a few maids. Xiao Yan was slightly startled, then followed closely with doubt in his eyes. According to Jade Fairy, the secret arts in the Yin and Yang scroll complemented each other. Only when Yin and Yang merged could the most powerful force be unleashed. When it was pushed forward, all the cultivation techniques in the world. The monarch skill was the same, it could damage the Yin and damage the Yang to make up for it. Yin and Yang interconnected, that was the essence of this world. Although Xiao Yan sounded puzzled about these things, but the most obvious of all is a few points. The monarch skill that he had mastered, whether it was the 8-directional thunder ruler or the monarch flame secret skill, were both aggressive and positive. Although it was powerful, it lacked a certain amount of feminine force. If he added it in, the power of these techniques would definitely be much stronger. Thinking of this, Xiao Yan couldn't help but scratch his head. He was confused about all these and didn't know what to pay attention to. He scratched his head and looked forward. When he saw Jade Fairy's exquisite figure in front of him, he suddenly had a thought. Perhaps, this overly charming woman should know some things. Profound Yin sect. Yin Jiuxuan had no choice but to give the white jade spirit lotus to Xiao Yan. He was filled with anger. However, he was also a famous hero in star-severing mountain range. His facial expression kept smiling when he saw off the many experts. It was not until he returned to Profound Yin sect that his stomach exploded with anger. That bastard's teach, she actually used this kind of method to tease our sect. Yin Jiuxuan sat on the sandalwood chair. His eyes seemed to be on the verge of spitting fire. He gritted his teeth and spoke word by word. A fierce aura spread out, causing the entire hall to be filled with an oppressive feeling. The other elders of Profound Yin sect in the hall didn't dare to touch Yin Jiuxuan at this moment. All of them had their eyes closed, and no one knew what they were thinking. Go and investigate. We must find out who that brat is, and how he dared to ruin our sect's good fortune. Our sect will tear him to pieces. A slap landed on the table, causing the table to instantly shatter into pieces. Yin Jiuxuan was almost shouting out loud. The veins on his usually calm and dignified face were bulging, and his muscles were trembling. The few elite disciples of the Profound Yin sect outside the door didn't dare show any neglect. They hastily complied and left the place as if they had just been pardoned from death. Yin Jiuxuan's emperor cultivation chi was too frightening. They were merely the disciples of the emperor, they couldn't resist it at all. Report, to the sect chief. While Yin Jiuxuan was in a fit of rage, a young disciple suddenly came in from outside the door. He looked at the furious Yin Jiuxuan and his face turned pale. He knelt down on one knee with a trembling voice. Speak! Yin Jiuxuan was like a furious lion at this moment. He looked coldly at the newcomer and recognized that he was one of the disciples who followed Yin Kang. He suppressed the anger in his heart and said in a cold voice. The young disciple swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He cupped his fists and said, Young master said that he had gained some insights other than the great Yin spirit arts when he fought Xiao Yan. Therefore, he wanted to go into seclusion for a few months. Yin Jiuxuan and the others in the hall were stunned after hearing what the young man said. After that, Yin Jiuxuan was overjoyed. He laughed and said, Great! My son is truly a genius. There are many secret arts in the great Yin spirit arts, and even the sect masters of Profound Yin sect haven't fully comprehended it yet. But, my son has already comprehended it beyond the great Yin spirit arts. Upon hearing Yin Jiuxuan's words, many of the elders in the hall felt ashamed. Many of them were cultivating the great Yin spirit arts, but even after decades of cultivation, they still hadn't fully comprehended 2/3 of it. However, Yin Kang had already surpassed them a long time ago. After the shame, Everyone was filled with mixed emotions. The profound Yin sect was able to produce such a powerful weapon. It was their greatest fortune to have such a genius. All right, go and tell him to focus on his cultivation. He doesn't need to worry about anything else. Yin Jiuxuan was also in a good mood right now. He waved his hand and said with a loud voice. The young man didn't leave when he heard this. He hesitated for a moment, then said in a low voice, "Young master also said." What else did he say? Yin Jiuxuan was smiling. He sat on the sandalwood chair. The fierce aura from before had disappeared. Young master said that Xiao Yan is going to the Yunluo Academy. His big brother Lin Dao is also in the Yunluo Academy. He had asked Xiao Yan to pass a message to Lin Dao, so. Young master, please don't do anything to Xiao Yan. The young man tried his best to speak the words Yin Kang had said to him in a euphemistic manner. Hong! Yin Jiuxuan, who was standing in front of him, instantly unleashed a shocking qi. Before the young man could react, he was knocked over by the qi and was sent flying backwards. He crashed into a pillar in the hall and fainted from the pain. Yin Jiuxuan's face was cold and his eyes were filled with anger. Anyone could tell how angry the sect chief of profound Yin sect was. He really is my son. Yin Jiuxuan's facial expression was ferocious. He gritted his teeth and squeezed these words out from the gaps between his teeth. His eyes were filled with fury. You're asking me to do this? Humph. I think you're asking me to do this. This little brat, does he really think that no one in the profound Yin sect can cure him after comprehending the great Yin spirit arts? Yin Jiuxuan's eyes turned red as he roared. As a father and the sect chief, his dignity had been severely challenged. How could he accept this? Sect chief, please calm down. Young master has an extraordinary talent, and his future potential is immeasurable. Whether or not profound Yin sect can prosper depends entirely on young master. Looking at Yin Jiuxuan's current state, the gray-robed elder at the top let out a long sigh. He stood up and said in a low voice. He had no way to deal with this unruly young master. Seeing Yin Jiuxuan looking at him with a fierce gaze, the gray-robed old man let out a bitter laugh in his heart. After pondering for a moment, he cupped his fists and said, "You know young master's temperament. Respect the strong of the same age, but despise the weak of the same age even more. Since young master has already acknowledged Xiao Yan, why not let him go? With young master's relationship with him, perhaps he will become a great help to our profound Yin sect in the future." After hearing the gray-robed elder's words, the expressions of the other elders in the hall changed. Immediately, their eyes revealed a joyful expression. Young master and Xiao Yan were both heaven-warping geniuses. Furthermore, they were the sect chief's good friends with Jade Fairy's subordinates. If they could build a good relationship with Xiao Yan, when they grew up, they would definitely be outstanding geniuses of their respective fields. At that time, the profound Yin sect would definitely have the strength of a first-rate sect in the Ascendant Star domain. Unlike the other elders, Yin Jiuxuan's expression was cold and gloomy. He was the only one who knew about Jade Fairy's matter in the entire profound Yin sect. Everyone else thought that he and Jade Fairy were husband and wife. If the white jade spirit lotus was still in his hands, the gray-robed elder's words might not be a bad suggestion. However, since Jade Fairy had gotten the white jade spirit lotus, there would definitely be a life-and-death battle between them. Yin Jiuxuan looked coldly at the elders in the hall. Everyone had joyful expressions on their faces. Yin Jiuxuan let out a helpless roar in his heart, but he also knew that he had no reason to refute the gray-robed old man. Nodding his head, Yin Jiuxuan forced a smile onto his face. He had agreed, but in his heart, his fury was soaring to the sky. All the elders of profound Yin sect. It could be said that they were unreliable. In that case, Hong Long, if that Xiao Yan knew what was going on, he could stay. However, Jade Fairy had to die. If she recovered her original strength, with that woman's talent, at that time, he would die without a burial ground. 2 Medicine Pavilion. Due to today's competition, Medicine Pavilion temporarily closed its doors and went straight to the second floor with Jade Fairy. The courtyard that was destroyed last night had already been cleaned up and looked brand new. Just as Xiao Yan found a random stone stool to sit down, Yun quickly walked over and smiled gratefully at Xiao Yan. She extended her hand and surprisingly, there was a white jade ring lying on her palm. There are 3 things you bought at the auction. There is also a little monarch crystal in it. Consider it your service fee. Jade Fairy looked at the white jade storage ring in Yun Er's hand and smiled. Her fingers lightly flicked and her red lips lightly opened. Speak. What else do you want? That tone of voice was like that of a wealthy tycoon. Xiao Yan took the white jade ring and looked at it in surprise. The quality of this storage ring was beyond his imagination. It seemed to be able to slightly block the soul power from entering. He gently rubbed the white jade ring. When he heard Jade Fairy's forthright tone, Xiao Yan's eyes lit up. Now was not the time to be courteous. Xiao Yan did not hesitate at all. He extended his hand and looked at the tall Jade Fairy with a fiery gaze. He said, 5 middle-rank heavenly beasts of different attributes. How about it? Jade Fairy's beautiful eyes froze when she heard this. She looked at Xiao Yan and revealed a mysterious smile. She said faintly, you really don't need to be polite. 5 mid-rank heavenly cores, let's not talk about the price. That's a rare item that has no market price. In the star-severing mountain range, there aren't many experts who can kill middle-rank heavenly beast. Xiao Yan smiled helplessly. Although the middle-rank heavenly beast was equivalent to the monarch emperor level among humans, their strength was strong, and coupled with their inborn brutality, human experts of the same level were no match for them. Although there were many monarch emperor warriors in the star-severing mountain range, there were only a few emperor cultivation warriors. It was indeed difficult to obtain 5 heavenly cores. However, Xiao Yan had no other choice. After leaving the star-severing mountain range and passing through the Myriad Spirit Prefecture, he was not far away from the Yunluo Academy. If he couldn't gather 5 heavenly cores here, then his holy rank trial would be considered a failure. There should be 4 medicine pavilions in Medicine Pavilion. As for the remaining one, after I recover my original strength and head to the depths of star-severing mountain range, I will personally help you kill a middle-rank heavenly beast. Jade Fairy smiled gently. Her pretty eyes glanced at Xiao Yan before she left, leaving behind a pretty figure. Oh right, it might take me a few days to refine this white jade pill. You will stay here for these few days. The medicinal ingredients here will be of help to you. You can use them. Also, I have given Yun Er all the secret arts from the Yin Scroll. If you want to cultivate, just ask her for them. Jade Fairy stopped at the door and reminded him. Seeing Jade Fairy out, Xiao Yan looked at Yun Er who was at the side. The latter immediately nodded and softly said, Sister Yu is also an alchemist. However, due to the influence of the poison in her body, she did not dare to use her soul force easily. I don't have much to worry about when refining the white jade pill. Saying this, Yun Er flipped her hand and a black jade scroll that was completely black appeared in her hand. The scroll glowed with a crystalline light. Xiao Yan nodded when he heard this. He then clicked his tongue in surprise. Not only was this woman beautiful, but she was also very strong. She had also mastered a few of the Yin and Yang scrolls in the Yin and Yang scroll. It was hard to imagine what she was capable of. She was just a simple woman. Xiao Yan took the scroll from Yun Er's hand and looked at it with a strange expression. This black jade scroll gave him a completely different feeling from the heavenly monarch fire-burning body scroll. This is the holy arts? Xiao Yan looked at Yun Er with a puzzled expression. Sister Yu has only mastered a few of the Yin scrolls in the Yin scroll, but ordinary scrolls can't withstand the power of the secret arts, so it can't be recorded. This black jade scroll is a scroll that contains the monarch arts. Yun Er softly explained when she saw this. Xiao Yan nodded his head when he heard this. Every monarch skill had to be passed down. Each monarch skill would be inscribed on a scroll with different powers. It required a different host body, and the stronger the monarch skill was, the more powerful it was. The host body required would be stronger. Although the Yin and Yang scroll was a saint-level cultivation technique, it was still a saint-level cultivation technique. However, the few secret arts on it hadn't reached the saint level yet. It was carved with the black jade scroll of the monarch arts. It could be used to its fullest potential. There are several quiet rooms here. If Mr. Xiao wants to cultivate, you can go anywhere. If you need anything, feel free to tell Yun Er. Yun Er glanced at Xiao Yan. She was aware that the latter's injuries were quite serious. She smiled gently and slowly withdrew. Cultivate. Xiao Yan put away the black jade scroll and looked at the few quiet rooms behind him. After that, he got up and walked over. He had bought the Empyrean Terminus Fist and the Heavenly Beast leg bone from the auction house. Now, he could take some time to study it. Previously, at the auction house, The Xiao was extremely interested in that leg bone. Moreover, he had bought the Heaven's Top Fist and the Heavenly Beast's leg bone. This was related to whether he could cultivate the Four-Spirit Emperor technique. Xiao Yan naturally did not dare to neglect it. After entering the quiet room, the injuries within Xiao Yan's body finally could not endure any longer. Although Jade Fairy's earlier method had reduced the pain in his body by more than half, the injuries in his soul were still quite painful. Gritting his teeth, Xiao Yan sat up and took off his clothes. The prestige power spell in front of his chest was so light that it was undetectable, as if it was imprinted in his body, and there was no movement at all. Xiao Yan shook his head. He did not know when this thing would recover. Although the side effects of this thing were not small, it still brought a lot of help. If he had the help of the prestige power spell this time, it would be much easier for him to fight Yin Kang. At least, he wouldn't force Xiao Yan to use the Fire Lotus. Xiao Yan's mind buzzed. He looked at his nose and nose. He didn't think about anything. He slowly circulated his soul energy to slowly recover. In another secret room, Jade Fairy's face was solemn. In front of her, there was a large purple cauldron. Strange lines covered the surface of the cauldron and it looked like it was filled with vicissitudes of life. A feeling of grandeur came straight at her. It was extremely solemn. At this moment, there were close to 100 kinds of medicinal herbs beside Jade Fairy, and the most precious white jade spirit lotus was in her hand. Over the years, she had prepared several portions of the medicinal ingredients needed to refine the white yang pill. However, from the looks of it, one portion was sufficient. If the first refinement failed and the white jade spirit lotus was destroyed, all hope could be said to have vanished into thin air. Jade Fairy bit her red lips. It was a long while later before she inhaled a deep breath of air. Her delicate hand was gently placed on the cauldron. This medicine cauldron was also a heaven cauldron. It was necessary to refine a tier 6 white yang pill. Wah! A purple flame suddenly appeared on the jade hand. The flame was like a purple phoenix that had spread its wings and soared into the sky. Vaguely, one could hear a loud and clear cry. The moment the flame appeared, the temperature of the entire secret chamber suddenly rose. The light of the flame shone on Jade Fairy's flawless face. It was exceptionally holy. Swoosh! The purple flame quickly revolved around the cauldron. The strange patterns on the cauldron also became active in an instant, as if it had gained life. It shook slightly on the cauldron, and in the next moment, the entire cauldron was activated, producing a buzzing sound that shook one's eardrums. Jade Fairy's pretty eyes were long and narrow. She stared intently at the cauldron in front of her. With a wave of her hand, several strange medicinal ingredients flew into the cauldron. At the same time, a majestic spiritual strength also leapt out from between her brows. It was like a tidal wave that surged towards the cauldron. This pill refinement, which was related to her fate, could be considered to have officially begun. Xiao Yan slowly opened his eyes within the quiet room. The pain in his mind had already greatly reduced. Now, it was this. As he thought about it, Xiao Yan flipped his palm and the white jade ring that Yun gave him appeared in his palm. At the same time, the crimson gold flame in the quiet room lingered. The Xiao also appeared with a smile. With a wave of its hand, it snatched the white jade ring from Xiao Yan's hand. Quickly take a look at that leg bone. It will definitely be helpful for your cultivation of the white tiger arts. Quote, A high-grade heavenly beast was equivalent to an emperor cultivation warrior amongst humans. At this point in time, the heavenly beast's intelligence was no less than a human's. The poisonous spirit raging blood tiger was one of the best among the high-grade heavenly beasts, and it could be said that its entire body was filled with treasures. Its leg bones were naturally unusual. Without Jade Fairy's financial support, Xiao Yan would not have the courage to buy it. The Xiao hugged the leg bone. Its black eyes rolled around, and its face was serious. It reached out its hand and gently touched it. A faint red light spread out from its hand and surrounded the entire leg bone. Seeing the solemn expression of the Xiao Yan did not dare to disturb it and waited quietly. Ha ha! My feeling is indeed correct. After a moment of silence, the Xiao suddenly revealed a joyful expression and said with a smile. Seeing Xiao Yan's burning gaze, the Xiao chuckled and threw the leg bone to the ground. After hesitating for a moment, it said, "This poisonous spirit explosive blood tiger should be a branch of the white tiger. It belongs to an ancient species, and it has died. After so many years, the qi and blood in his body is still very vigorous. The Xiao kicked the leg bone beside his leg and said with a smile, "There is a drop of origin blood essence here. After extracting it and merging it into your body, cultivating the white tiger arts of the Four Spirit Emperor technique, the power is definitely not weak. Besides, the bloodline of this poisonous spirit explosive blood tiger should be close to the white tigers. Even if I can't unleash the full power of the white tiger arts, I can still use 10% of it." Currently, the Xiao was like a knowledgeable teacher, teaching Xiaoyan in detail. 10%? Xiaoyan slightly nodded his head when he heard this. The real Four Spirit Emperor technique was definitely comparable to the Saint Grade Monarch skill. The Saint Grade Monarch skill was powerful enough to split the sky and earth, and it was extremely powerful. It was quite impressive that the current White Tiger arts could exert 10% of its power. Since that's the case, let's begin. Xiaoyan made a prompt decision. He sat down cross-legged and picked up the leg bone. The monarch flame in his hand was wrapped around it, and it quickly wrapped around it. In an instant, sizzling sounds spread out endlessly. The Four Spirit Emperor technique was divided into 4 techniques. They were the Azure Dragon Arts, White Tiger Arts, Profound Martial Arts, and Vermilion Bird technique. There was no difference between these 4 techniques. It could be said that each technique was the most powerful. The technique that one practiced the most was naturally the most powerful. According to what the Xiao said, the real Four Spirit Emperor technique was in his memories. It had disappeared since ancient times, and the Four Spirit Emperor technique that was circulating now. There were more or less flaws in it, and it could not display the true power of the Four Spirit Emperor technique. As it was passed down from generation to generation, the Four Spirit Emperor technique was reduced to an ordinary monarch skill. Even a monarch emperor like Chen Rong had obtained one by luck. The White Tiger arts was taken from the White Tiger, one of the 4 spirits. The true White Tiger arts contained 5 forms. It was called the 5 forms of White Tiger, and each of them was called the 5 forms of White Tiger. The Four Spirit Emperor technique in Xiaoyan's hand. There were only 3 styles in the White Tiger arts, and the current 3 styles were merely the power of the monarch spell. If the blood essence of the poisonous spirit explosive blood tiger was integrated into it, the power of these 3 forms would be. Presumably, he could chase after the monarch arts. Previously, with the strength of a monarch emperor, Chen Rong did not cultivate the 4 techniques one by one. Instead, he cultivated them all together and managed to cultivate the qi of 4 spirits. It seemed like Chen Rong had also realized it. The 4 techniques that didn't fuse with the blood essence of 4 spirits were just too weak. The White Tiger Spirit Sealing Flash, the White Tiger Sky Shattering Strike, and the White Tiger Spiritual Spell. These were the 3 styles of the White Tiger arts. While Xiaoyan was extracting the blood essence from his leg bone, he had also heard the names of the last 2 styles from Xiao's mouth. White Tiger Profound Azure Seal, White Tiger Sacred Spirit Transformation. According to the true White Tiger arts of the Four Spirit Emperor technique, the first form of the White Tiger Spirit Sealing Flash was the power of the elementary holy arts. The next 4 styles would be more powerful. The White Tiger Sky Shattering Strike was a high-level holy arts, the White Tiger Spiritual Spell was a middle-level saint technique, and so on. The last style, the White Tiger Sacred Spirit Transformation, was a supreme high-level saint technique. Destroying the heavens and destroying the earth was a piece of cake. When Xiao heard this, even Xiaoyan's heart trembled. A high-grade saint technique. The power of the monarch skill was something that could shake the heavens and earth. However, in order to reach that level of feeling, one had to absorb the blood essence of the true 4 spirits. Throughout the ages, no one had ever been able to do this, even the peerless geniuses who had gathered the 8 forces and shocked all the regions. Xiaoyan shook his head when he heard this. If he could cultivate all 4 techniques, how could such a thing be allowed to exist in this world? Alright, you don't have to think too much. By relying on the essence blood of the poisonous spirit explosive blood tiger, you have cultivated 5 forms of the White Tiger. The first form, the White Tiger Spirit Sealing Flash, has the power of a beginner monarch spell. Besides, you don't have the last 2 styles. The most powerful White Tiger spiritual spell in the future will only be a middle-grade monarch arts. It's nothing. The Xiao pouted and looked at Xiaoyan with its big eyes. Xiaoyan twitched his mouth when he heard this. What the Xiao said was the truth. Although the poisonous spirit explosive blood tiger was an emperor cultivation level heavenly beast and sounded incomparably powerful, in the eyes of a true expert, it was not even comparable to an ant. It was reasonable for the white tiger arts to have that kind of power. I told you earlier, with my blood essence, you will be able to cultivate the azure dragon arts. Even if you cultivate the first style, you will still have the power of a high-grade monarch spell. The third style might not be as powerful as the holy arts, but it will at least be far more powerful than an ordinary high-grade monarch arts. At that time, with your monarch spirit strength, you will have no problem fighting a monarch emperor warrior. The Xiao Ao sat on the side, both hands holding its face. He mumbled to himself. Xiao Yan was fully focused on extracting the blood essence in his leg bone. When he heard this, he smiled lightly. He didn't say anything. The stronger the person was, the more powerful the person was. Back then, he had just advanced to the monarch spirit. In the alchemy competition of the Spirit Heaven Mansion, he spat out his blood essence. He had almost fainted, let alone the Xiao Ao. If he really used his blood essence, it was very likely that it would destroy his foundation. He might even die here, let alone a monarch arts. Xiao Yan would never agree to it even if it was the holy arts. Swoosh, swoosh. In the quiet room, the flames were still burning fiercely. Under the grilling of the monarch flame, the leg bone of the poison spirit explosive blood tiger finally began to shatter. Very quickly, a drop of dazzling red blood essence quietly appeared within the flame. The moment the blood essence appeared, the surrounding air began to tremble rapidly. An emperor cultivation beast aura was unleashed from the blood essence, rushing towards Xiao Yan like a tidal wave. Xiao Yan's brows twitched, then he let out a cold snort. A heavenly beast that had been dead for 10,000 years was trying to corrode his will. Soul energy surged out from between his brows. Without any hesitation, it struck out. It shook violently in the air. After which, one could hear a faint painful roar being emitted. The beast might that had filled the entire quiet room had already slowly dissipated. Alright, absorb this essence blood into your body. It will circulate through the white tiger arts' meridians until it is completely absorbed into your body. The Xiao Ao leapt up, grabbed the blood essence, and threw it into Xiao Yan's hand. Xiao Yan firmly grabbed it. The blood essence jumped around in his hand, and an uncontrollable surge of energy came from his palm. Xiao Yan took a deep breath. He swallowed the blood essence in his hand. When the blood essence entered his mouth, an unbearable heat instantly spread throughout his entire body. Hoo! Taking a deep breath, Xiao Yan sat down cross-legged. The Origin Monarch cheese in his body surged and rushed out of the Origin Monarch crystal, instantly wrapping around the crimson blood essence. A thought passed through his mind. Under Xiao Yan's control, the red blood essence slowly flowed along the white tiger arts' meridians. The energy within the blood essence also slowly spread into Xiao Yan's body, stimulating the white tiger arts' meridians. Currently, Xiao Yan's skin was scarlet red. His clothes had already been turned into ashes by the high temperature. Steam was rising from his head. The Xiao Ao looked at Xiao Yan in front of him with a funny expression. It lifted its head and looked at the roof. Its eyes were thrown in the direction of the door. Immediately, it laughed. Its body flashed and it did not make any sound. It opened the door and secretly ran out. It had been staying in Xiao Yan's body for the past few days and had not gone out to take a stroll. It took this opportunity to go out and play. The moment he left the door, the Xiao Ao looked at Xiao Yan once again. He hesitated for a moment and flicked his finger. A flame that was different from the two types of monarch flame that Xiao Yan possessed flew out from his finger and landed in the room. After doing all of this, the Xiao Ao chuckled and disappeared in a flash. With the strength of a monarch emperor level Xiao Ao, other than Jade Fairy, no one in the entire medicine pavilion could detect his whereabouts. At this moment, Jade Fairy was completely immersed in refining the white yang pill. Naturally, she did not have the time to care about him. The Xiao Ao also openly appeared on the second floor. It looked around like a thief and with a sway of its body, it ran outside. Hoo, the Origin Monarch chi in his body began to boil. The unique meridians that cultivated the white tiger arts were constantly flowing along with the blood essence. A bright red light spread out and covered the entire meridians. Very quickly, Xiao Yan felt that these meridians were filled with energy. With the 3000 lightning monarch flame and the chaos great monarch flame monitoring him, he did not need to worry about any problems occurring within his body. Wang! After a long time, Xiao Yan's tightly shut eyes suddenly opened. 2 rays of red light flashed within his eyes. At the same time, a torrent of surging sound erupted from within his body, causing the entire quiet room to buzz. It's done. After carefully examining his body, Xiao Yan was instantly delighted. The source blood essence of the poisonous spirit explosive blood tiger had completely disappeared, and it had been completely fused with his meridians. This also meant that the white tiger arts of the 4-spirit sovereign technique could finally display its initial power. Before he arrived at the profound Yin castle, Xiao Yan had already familiarized himself with most of the 4 techniques. Integrating the blood essence of the poisonous spirit explosive blood tiger was the condition to activate the white tiger arts. Of course, as the saying goes, proficiency. He had only learned the first style of the white tiger arts. The white tiger spirit sealing flash was only the power of the elementary monarch spell. In a battle, it wouldn't have much of an effect. The third style, white tiger spiritual spell. It was the genuine monarch arts. If one could master it, Xiao Yan was not afraid of even a monarch emperor warrior. Forget it. I won't be able to master the second style of the white tiger sky-shattering strike in a short period of time. I should learn the Heaven's Top Fist first. The solitary Heaven Fist is a high-grade monarch arts. When the Sky Spill Fist and the Heaven's Top Fist combine, its power shouldn't be any weaker than a high-grade monarch spell. Xiao Yan pondered for a moment and made up his mind. He adjusted his urgent mood and took out the scroll of the Heaven's Top Fist. Currently, he had mastered too little high-grade monarch skill. He basically relied on monarch flames to fight his enemies. His true strength was still not enough. Wang! The cauldron in front of her trembled. Jade Fairy clenched her teeth and swiftly waved her hand. Dozens of medicinal ingredients had already entered the cauldron. Purple flames boiled and instantly wrapped around it. Under the powerful spiritual strength of the former, they turned into droplets of pure medicinal liquid that fell to the bottom. Jade Fairy held the white jade spirit lotus in her hand. A trace of determination flashed across her pretty eyes. This was the last medicinal ingredient. If the refinement was successful, the white yang pill could basically be considered a success. However, if it was a failure, Jade Fairy shook her head. She inhaled a deep breath of air and lifted her delicate hand gently. Under the control of her soul force, the white jade spirit lotus slowly rose and entered the cauldron. It was instantly swallowed by the purple flame. Pippa. As the main ingredient to refine the white yang pill, the white jade spirit lotus naturally had its special characteristics. Although it was in the shape of a lotus, its exterior was abnormally tough. Even the powerful purple flame that Jade Fairy controlled could only be slowly burned. In half an incense stick of time, only half of it was burned. Jade Fairy's rosy face had also become somewhat pale at this moment. Due to the influence of the poison, her body was already extremely weak. Now that she had been refining the white jade spirit lotus for a long time, her mind was already quite exhausted. Her precise control over the burning of the white jade spirit lotus had already loosened a little. The scene in front of her eyes became increasingly dark. Jade Fairy's eyes were as heavy as iron and stone. She could not help but slowly close them. The tiredness that penetrated deep into her soul was something that even she could not resist. Under such circumstances, the energy contained within the white jade spirit lotus also began to gradually disappear. Buzz. At this critical moment, a spiritual light flashed on Jade Fairy's forehead and a white light flashed. As the light flashed, a faintly discernible song was softly chanted. It was like the chanting of a holy spirit. In an instant, Jade Fairy woke up in a daze. Oh! Jade Fairy woke up and a complicated expression flashed across her beautiful eyes. She extended her hand and gently touched her forehead. After which, she let out a long sigh and looked at the cauldron in front of her. She calmed her heart and concentrated on controlling it. Now, the most important thing was to refine the white yang pill. Everything else, she would talk about it in the future. In the hall on the second floor, Yun stood uneasily. Her eyes were filled with worry as she looked at the secret chamber where Jade Fairy was. She also knew the importance of the white yang pill to Jade Fairy. She really did not dare to imagine what would happen if the refinement failed. God bless me. I must succeed in the refinement. Yun put her palms together and muttered to herself in her heart. Her pretty face was filled with anxiety. Shoo! The moment Yun closed her eyes, a figure covered in black robes suddenly rushed in from the medicinal ingredients hall on the second floor. His figure flashed, and before Yun could react, the black-clothed person had already appeared beside her. With a light hand blade, he easily knocked Yun down. Truly careless. After knocking Yun down, under the face of the black-clothed person, an endless coldness erupted from his eyes. Carefully sensing it, the black-clothed person coldly smiled and rushed towards the secret chamber where Jade Fairy was. Even if he couldn't kill Jade Fairy in an instant, as long as he could stop her from concocting the White Yang pill, he would be able to achieve his goal. Without the White Yang pill, how could a monarch emperor who could live for 2 months pose any threat to him? In just a few breaths of time, the man in black had already arrived in front of Jade Fairy's secret chamber. He extended both of his palms, which were filled with dense yin qi, and was about to strike. Wah! Suddenly, a crimson gold flame tore through the air and arrived. The moment before the black-clothed person's palms struck the secret chamber, it blocked in front of the latter's palms. The man in black was startled. The yin qi seemed to be especially wary of the monarch flame. He withdrew his hands in time and looked in the direction where the monarch flame had come from with a cold expression. Not far away, a young man in a black shirt had a cold look in his eyes. He looked at Jiuxuan with an angry expression. His black hair was hanging loosely on his shoulders and the origin monarch qi in his body was boiling. This caused Jiuxuan to frown slightly. Sure enough, it was this guy. However, compared to before, he could vaguely sense a slight change in Xiaoyan. He's just a puny monarch spirit. No matter how heaven-defying he is, can he still defeat an emperor cultivation? Jiuxuan was also afraid. Although there was a barrier set up here, if it was discovered by the other experts in the herb hall on the second floor, he would definitely give himself away if he wanted to escape. At that time, his reputation would fall tremendously. Jiuxuan's body moved and he rushed towards Xiaoyan. Out of consideration, he did not use the powerful Great Yin Spirit Arts. If that was the case, the sound produced would be too loud. A cold glint surfaced in Xiaoyan's eyes. Both of his fists were tightly clenched. He looked at the black-clothed person who was rushing over and welcomed him without any fear. Jiuxuan came with a menacing aura. With his emperor cultivation strength, he could leap across such a short distance in an instant. As the strong wind blew, the iron claw was already striking towards Xiaoyan. The huge force on the claw was enough to shatter mountains and shatter rocks. This was the first time Xiaoyan had fought an emperor cultivation expert. He did not dare to be careless. The moment he attacked, the monarch flame in his body surged wildly. He unleashed the heavenly monarch fire-burning body, and in an instant, he had the strength to crush an emperor. Boom! As their fists and palms collided, a dull sound was suddenly heard. In the next moment, Xiaoyan's face suddenly turned pale, and he quickly retreated backwards, leaving 2 deep marks on the hard stone floor. He's fine? He thought he could knock Xiaoyan out with his palm. Jiuxuan frowned when he saw the latter retreating. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and he abandoned Xiaoyan. He rushed to the secret chamber behind Jade Fairy. The reason he took the risk to sneak attack was mainly because of Jade Fairy. This kid could be considered a genius. If it was really as the sect elder said, he might really be a great help to the profound Yin sect in the future. Jiuxuan, you are an emperor cultivation expert and the sect master, but you actually did such a thing. Being sent flying by the man in black, Xiaoyan's qi and blood kept tumbling in his body. A sweetness surged up to his throat, almost causing him to spurt out blood. Xiaoyan gritted his teeth. He had confirmed the identity of the man in black with just a glance. It was undoubtedly Jiuxuan. This bastard really didn't want to give away the White Jade Spirit Lotus willingly. Even though he had used the heavenly monarch fire-burning body to temporarily reach the sovereign realm, the gap between the sovereign realm and emperor cultivation was just too great. With his current strength, unless he used the Fire Lotus, the other monarch skill, or even the strongest 8-directional thunder ruler, wouldn't be able to cause any harm to him. Seeing Jiuxuan rushing towards Jade Fairy's secret chamber again, Xiaoyan's expression changed slightly. Immediately, he shouted coldly and bent his waist. The origin monarch qi on his body surged crazily. In an instant, a white sovereign qi appeared behind Xiaoyan. As the sovereign qi surged, a huge white tiger's body slowly appeared. The white tiger's face was hazy and only its eyes were bright. Its eyes were filled with a domineering aura that could destroy the heaven and earth. It was vast and mighty, as if there were stars flowing and the sun and stars disappearing. White Tiger Spirit Sealing Flash. The first style of White Tiger arts, White Tiger Spirit Sealing Flash. It was also the first style that Xiao Yan had studied. Following the closing of the eyes of the white tiger behind him, Xiao Yan seemed to have transformed into a fierce tiger. His body moved like a fierce tiger that had descended the mountain. His speed was even faster than Yin Jiuxuan's. In a few blinks of an eye, Xiao Yan was already one step ahead of Yin Jiuxuan. He rushed to Yin Jiuxuan's back and formed a seal with both of his hands. The eyes of the white tiger behind him widened. Stars fell in its eyes and stars emerged. As Xiao Yan formed the seal, the white tiger's body flashed like a white star blade and rushed out from behind Xiao Yan in an instant. Yin Jiuxuan's facial expression changed slightly. Xiao Yan had seen through his trick, which made his face turn cold. Sensing the attack of the white tiger behind Xiao Yan, Yin Jiuxuan couldn't help but be shocked. He was shocked by the huge qi contained in the attack. He immediately gritted his teeth. Black qi spread out from his hands as he fiercely grabbed the incoming white star blade. After temporarily stalling Yin Jiuxuan's footsteps, Xiao Yan immediately retreated hastily. The white tiger spirit sealing flash looked majestic and imposing. In fact, it was only a low-level monarch spell. To Yin Jiuxuan, it was not a threat at all. Kai, the white star blade came at him, causing him to break out in cold sweat. Even he felt his chest tighten. He no longer dared to be afraid of his hands and feet. The secret arts in his great Yin spirit arts was unleashed. Bone-corroding palm. The huge black palm was as big as a millstone, and it directly pressed down, causing the surrounding air to explode. It wrapped around the white star blade, and the tremendous force directly crushed it. Yin Jiuxuan was startled when he saw that the white star blade was crushed so easily. His eyes turned cold as he looked at Xiao Yan, who was retreating. Killing intent surged in his chest. This bastard actually dared to play with him. After tearing off the black robe, Yin Jiuxuan's expression turned cold. A cold light flashed in his eyes. The pressure of an emperor cultivation warrior rushed towards Xiao Yan from all directions. Xiao Yan, you are a genius. In the future, your achievements might be higher than Yin Kang's, but you shouldn't have attacked. Yin Jiuxuan spoke slowly. There was no sadness or joy in his voice. Originally, I only wanted to kill Jade Fairy, but you ran out. With your current strength, you are not a threat to me at all. Right now, I can't spare your life. Xiao Yan was indifferent when he heard this. Now that the Xiaoao was not by his side and Jade Fairy had no time to care about him, it was indeed difficult for him to fight Yin Jiuxuan alone. Swoosh. Yin Jiuxuan did not speak anymore. A black qi appeared on his right hand and a long red mace emerged. The mace was surrounded by yin qi, and a frightening qi that could make one's face change color emerged from it. Obviously, it was much stronger than Yin Kang's heart-shattering spear. Swoosh. Yin Jiuxuan sneered. The mace in his hand suddenly flew towards Xiao Yan. With his emperor cultivation strength, dealing with a young man who was no stronger than an emperor was much easier than killing an ant. The mace rushed towards Xiao Yan. The yin qi on it surged like a dark dragon. It enveloped Xiao Yan, causing the rocks in the hall to scatter and turn into powder. Xiao Yan's facial expression changed slightly. Although this mace was far from the level of a heavenly weapon, under Yin Jiuxuan's control, its power was no weaker than a real heavenly weapon. With the blue flame ruler in his hand, Xiao Yan didn't have time to think. He raised his ruler and was about to forcefully block the incoming Yin dragon. You overestimate yourself. Yin Jiuxuan only sneered when he saw this. If this strike couldn't even kill an emperor, Hong Long. Stop! Just as the Yin dragon was about to hit the blue flame ruler, a clear shout suddenly sounded out. At the same time, a purple gold flame pillar rushed over like it was splitting open the space. In the next moment, the Xiaoao appeared in front of the Yin dragon. It stretched out its small hand and firmly gripped the Yin dragon's roaring mouth. Woo! The Yin dragon kept struggling, but it was unable to break free from the restraints of the Xiaoao. The Xiaoao's large and round eyes coldly looked at the Yin dragon. A purple golden flame surged in its hand. In an instant, the arrogant Yin dragon had already disappeared, leaving only a mace in its hand. Xiao Yan heaved a sigh of relief when he saw the Xiao Ao appear. His raised heart slowly calmed down. Although this guy was only a monarch emperor warrior, when it came to a real battle, even an emperor cultivation warrior wouldn't be afraid of him. Yin Jiuxuan's facial expression changed. When he saw a little boy suddenly appear and easily neutralize his attack, he was shocked. "Who are you?" Yin Jiuxuan said coldly. He was furious in his heart. He was about to kill Xiao Yan, but he didn't expect this to happen. Besides, this guy looked like he was only 11 or 12 years old. How could he have such strength? The purple golden flame in the Xiao Ao's hand swallowed and swallowed. It firmly gripped the long mace. Looking at the gloomy face of Yin Jiuxuan, it revealed a harmless smile and said with a smile, "Xiao Ao." Yin Jiuxuan's eyelids twitched when he heard this name. He had never heard of the name Xiao Ao. When did such an expert appear in star-severing mountain range? Even a monarch emperor wouldn't dare to receive his attack with his hand. "Give it to me. I won't kill you all." Yin Jiuxuan stretched out his hand and looked at the Xiao Ao as he spoke in a cold voice. "This?" The Xiao Ao waved the rapier in its hand, and gave Yin Jiuxuan a mocking smile. When the rapier was in the Xiao Ao's hand, it became quiet from its original violent state. On the rapier's body, there were ferocious patterns carved on it. Under the cleansing of the purple golden flame, the originally pervasive yin qi also became rather thin. This weapon is also considered a good fit. "Give it to me, I can let you escape," the Xiao Ao chuckled. At the same time, in the secret chamber where Jade Fairy was, a powerful aura spread out. It was not any weaker than Yin Jiuxuan's. Xiao Yan was stunned for a moment, then he was overjoyed. It seemed like Jade Fairy had successfully concocted the white yang pill. After hearing the Xiao Ao's words and sensing Jade Fairy's aura, Yin Jiuxuan's face turned really gloomy.